Wetland near Springs on the East Rand has been world famous for its abundant bird life for decades. Listed under the Ramsar Convention on Internationally Important Wetlands, one of only a few such sites in South Africa, this paradise is now in danger. An upstream gold mine has been dumping billions of litres of contaminated water into the Blesbokspruit, the river that feeds Marievale. The problems at this mine could be a threat to the whole East Rand region. The polluted water, about 100 million litres a day, is pumped from deep underground by number 3 shaft of the Grootfontein gold mine to prevent the flooding of its tunnels. Jacques Botha is the foreman of 3 shaft.
Firstly, this is the only shaft that are pumping water for the rest of the mine to be able to mine in this area. Secondly, it is very, very important because this is the last standing shaft pumping on the East Rand Basin.
In other words, without 3 shaft, Grootfontein mine would drown along with other mines on the East Rand.
Pompstasie is omtrent so 780 meter van surface af, so ons is nou op pad om dat te doen.
It's hot, humid and noisy in the pump station, more than 3/4 the height of Table Mountain underground.
Yeah, it's very welcome to pump station. This is our pump station here, our heart of the mine.
Jacques Botha explains how 10 giant pumps drive the water to surface up 4 massive pipes. He points out rust on the pipes.
You can see there is some of the rust that's been accumulated through the time.
Rust caused by acid contamination in the water 3 shaft pumps up. 3 shaft is in trouble, a victim of the management chaos at Grootfontein, where as Carte Blanche showed last week, most workers have been on strike since mid-March over unpaid salaries and miserable living conditions.
2 months, no pay.
Reports say Grootfontein is falling apart because of top-level mismanagement and corruption in Aurora Empowerment Systems, the company in charge of the mine since October last year. Aurora's directors include Zondwa Mandela, Nelson Mandela's grandson, Kulubuse Zuma, the president's nephew, and Michael Hulley, the president's lawyer. Environmentalists are extremely worried about reports of pollution coming from Grootfontein. Mariette Lieferink, CEO of the Federation for a Sustainable Environment, is deeply involved in mine pollution issues.
You must remember that within the Blesbokspruit we also have the Ramsar site, the Marievale Bird Sanctuary, and unless drastic measures are taken, then this will be lost for future generations.
Stan Madden used to work for a local gold mine and is the father of Marievale.
My initial visit to this area was in the 1940s, and one of the first things I saw was this beautiful spruit that meandered through this highland. I'd never seen this crystal clear water. It really began an obsession then which hasn't left me.
The nearby town of Springs got its name from the many freshwater springs early settlers found here. Good for farming, not so good for mining. Jude Cobbing, a geohydrologist, explains.
I mean, the natural groundwater levels are often just a few tens of meters below ground level. And so, as soon as you start mining below the water table, below the level of the groundwater, water fills up your mine. So you've got to continually pump these mines to keep them dry so that you can mine.
Gold mining began on the East Rand in the late 1800s. At the industry's peak in the 1950s, there were 24 active mines in the so-called Eastern Basin.
Those areas where the rocks are sufficiently thick and the gold content sufficiently high to mine, we call them basins, mining basins, and they cover huge areas.
There are 4 major mining basins around Johannesburg. With the decline in gold reserves, many East Rand mines have closed in recent decades. Grootfontein 3 shaft is the last pump station left in the entire Eastern Basin. In the early days of mining, the water pumped up was pure. Nowadays, it's contaminated.
Essentially, the gold-bearing rocks, the Witwatersrand rocks, are rich in sulfide minerals, and when those minerals come into contact with water and oxygen, they dissolve to produce a lot of acidity. So the water becomes very acidic, and that acidic water in turn can dissolve more minerals in the rock, some of which can be harmful to people's health.
Old, flooded mine tunnels are ideal places for these acid-producing chemical reactions to start. With so many abandoned mines in the Eastern Basin, its deep underground water has become contaminated with iron, sulfur compounds, manganese, and other toxins, including uranium. Reshaft pumps about 40 Olympic swimming pools full of this every day, and Grootfontein is legally obliged to partially clean it before it enters the Blesbokspruit.
The problem is the iron in the water that needs to be taken out.
Reshaft has a purification plant to do this. It can add lime to the mine water to make it less acidic. The water can be aerated and passed through settling tanks where, with the right treatment chemicals, the contaminants settle out as a reddish-brown sludge. When Carte Blanche first visited Reshaft on the 16th of March, the treatment plant seemed to be working well. But on subsequent visits, things didn't look so good. Rumours circulated that mine water was often going right through the plant without being cleaned because top management was not buying the chemicals. Government was not stepping in because of Aurora's political connections.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I wouldn't really like to comment on that, but yes, it was very, very difficult to get water treatment, especially lime.